Hi, I am Minister Tutu, and this is Milolaa's Backstage Pass. I am a singer, songwriter, praise and worship leader, husband, father, actor. Oh, and did I mention I'm also an ordained minister too? Well, from the time I was a kid, I was always very musically inclined. You know, growing up in Nigeria where, you know, back then music is not what you aspire to do. You know, that is usually for someone that dropped out of school, music, acting, or certain professions like that. But I always wonder, living in Nigeria, where music is a big part of everything we do. When we're happy, we're singing. When we're sad, we're singing. There's music for everything. And I always wonder, why do we frown on somebody that actually does want to do that? And so I loved music, but I always just thought of it as a hobby, something that I just could do. But eventually I'll just go to school and get a degree and get a job somewhere. But the journey for me started when I came to the US and I had the opportunity to sing at an event with a very diverse group, Americans, Caucasians, African Americans. And I sang that day and a fire just lit in me that day, like, you know what, I think I can do this. Everybody clapped, and it wasn't about the clapping, but I sensed something that day that, you know, when you're coming from Nigeria, you always think, oh, America, everybody's great over there. So when I sang on that day, I said, okay, maybe there's something more to this than just a hobby. I think I have something here. And so that's where it started. And this was 1996, I believe it is, September. As a singer, one of the things I remember when I was trying to record my first album, I had no money, basically. And I was trying to record this album and it was costing me a lot of money. I had no sponsors. And when I would meet people, they would say to me, oh, when is your album coming out? And I would say, oh, I'm working on it. And they would pray for me. Yes, God will do it for you. You will get, yeah, God will take you to greater heights. But I had no money. And if you know me very well, I don't just want to put out anything. It has to be, you know, the quality has to be there, as much as the anointing and everything. And going through that process, I thought to myself, man, I can't do this, because when you're a husband and you have children, it's kind of not very good to spend a whole lot of money recording an album and your kids are at home and you can't pay for the things that they need. So I had to say to myself, do I really want to do this? And one of the things that also happened was, I think 2 years before I released my first album, I got discouraged by prominent people that I would say that I respect. You know, there are people in your life that when they speak, you listen, even if you don't agree with them. But when they say something to you, you take it into consideration. And they told me, nobody buys CDs anymore. You know, you can, you know, just do what you're doing. You're a good praise and worship leader. Just do that, and that will be fine. And you don't have to actually record. So I actually listened to that. And for the next year and a half, I didn't do anything. I had all the songs ready that I was going to record. But for the next 2 years, I didn't do anything, because the words that some people spoke really affected me. It wasn't until almost 2 years later that I started getting that itch again, like, you know what, I think I should do this. And so this time around, I didn't tell anybody. I just went for it myself. And I didn't tell anyone until the album was almost done. When I knew I could see the green, I could see the light at the end of the tunnel, I knew this album's done. And that was the first time I told anyone, and apart from those who were directly involved in the recording of the album. So discouragements came from a lot of people, and also the financial burden on you. You know, it got to a point where I said, is this even worth it? Are people even going to buy this? But when I came to that place where I said, you know what, it doesn't even matter. Even if nobody buys it, I'll still make it anyway. I'll still do it anyway. And it's one of the best choices I've made. Songwriting is very, very interesting for me. I've written a few songs. One of the songs I've written is a song called You Are Great, and it simply just goes, you are great, and you are glorious, and you are wonderful, and you are marvelous. And another one I wrote is a song that says, you are bigger and stronger, you are bigger and wiser, you are bigger than the eyes could see, you are bigger than the eyes could see. For a long time, I never considered myself a songwriter. I thought of myself as a singer. But that began to change when I would go on concerts or sing at events, and I would sing songs from my favorite artists. Artists like Israel, Matthew West, and Byron Cage. And there was a particular Byron Cage song that I would always sing that says, for thou, O Lord, are a shield for me, my glory, you lift my head. So when I would sing that song, everybody would think the song belonged to me. And they would always ask me, where can we buy this song? And I would tell them, well, that's not my song. And I actually began to pray, like, you know, I want to be able to sing my own songs. And as I found out, I have a lot of songs that I started writing, but then I would just record them on my phone and I would just leave them. So I just went back into my archives, if you will, and I just started bringing the songs out. And the songwriting process is different for everybody. There are those who could just sit on the keyboard or just pick up their pen and just write. I'm not like that. I'm very spontaneous in the way I write. I can come up with a song on stage, like the song You Are Great. I wrote the song while I was leading a worship service, and I'm sure the band were looking at me like, what is he singing? So that's a way that I write. I also get inspired when I'm watching documentaries. I love, one of my favorite hobbies is I love to watch documentaries or autobiographies of successful people and not so successful people. I like to watch their stories and see how they got to where they got in life. And when I watch the story, that inspires me, and that is the way that I'm inspired to write. Watch stories, and I'm very spontaneous. I could be driving in a car and I could just hear a tune and just start to sing, and then just come back to it later when I have the time. In the next 5 years, by the grace of God, not my own doing, I want to see myself on a higher level than I am in all aspects, musically, in business,